Suze Orman is one of the most highly awarded personal finance educators in history. She's a #1 New York Times bestselling author with over 25 million books in circulation. The Suze Orman Show aired for 13 seasons and was the highest rated show on CNBC at the time. She's been educating people on personal finance for over 40 years. No one stays in the game that long unless they're doing something right. But should you actually follow her advice?
None.
If you have credit cards and things like that, just pay the minimum payment due.
Because there's hundreds of finance gurus out there all saying to do different things. How do you know who you can trust and which principles apply to you? Well, that's exactly why I'm making this video. My name is John. I teach about financial education to over 1.3 million followers. And in this series, I'm breaking down the biggest financial gurus to see what advice they give and whether or not you should follow it. And in today's video, we're talking about Mrs. Susan Lynn Orman.
Are you kidding me? So if you wanted your money in retirement, you had a place to put it.
Now, there's 3 types of people that Suze Orman best serves. The first one may be the most obvious, but it's important to understand who her audience is. Because when I first stumbled upon Suze Orman, I didn't really resonate with her.
It can cost you your mobility, it can cost you your happiness.
And I have to be careful how I say this, but I didn't resonate with her as much because I'm a man. I mean, it's no surprise that Suze best serves women. She's the host of an award-winning podcast that's literally called Women and Money. And in finance, women have been historically underrepresented. So Suze is bringing up those conversations that traditionally aren't talked about in finance. Like how to save money as a single mom, the pink tax, even Mother's Day. These are the things that I don't necessarily think about, mostly because I don't have kids and I'll never be a mom. But obviously Suze is resonating with millions of women of all ages. It wasn't until I actually did a deep dive on Suze that I started to understand her more. One of my favorite interviews I watched, she talks about how nurses and teachers are targeted in the financial services industry. Suze is standing up for women, and I respect that a lot. Now, can men learn things from Suze? Absolutely. I've learned about prenups and raising kids. I certainly value these topics, and I know so many other friends that value them even more. There's certainly a reason why Suze was ranked 18th on the world's most powerful women, because she empowers women by helping them learn about finance in a digestible way. Suze empowers another certain type of person that applies to millions of people. And I found this certain person while browsing her website and watching dozens of her videos. So let me break down my thought process. Her tagline is, put yourself first, then money, then things. Okay, but who is yourself? Maybe she's empowering individuals. But we're all individuals. I was really struggling to define who this second person that Suze was talking to. And again, this video came up.
You have got to trust yourself more than you trust others.
She keeps saying that you should be able to do things for yourself. She says you don't need a financial advisor, you don't need someone else handling your finances, you can manage your money all by yourself, which I completely agree with. And that's when it clicked for me. Suze Orman wants to empower the individual, but not just any individual. She wants to empower the single person who isn't married or who doesn't have a lifelong partner. There's this huge limiting belief that people think they need someone else to help manage their money. Whether that's a financial advisor, a parent, a spouse, an accountant. But Suze breaks that belief and says that if you're single, you can most definitely manage your own money. And I 100% agree with her. The single college student, the single parent, the widow or widower can all manage their money for themselves by themselves. Now, this last person who should follow Suze's advice is someone I definitely relate to. But one of the first things that made me dislike Suze was this article right here. Suze Orman says you need $5 million to retire. I personally know people who have retired with $1.2 million. There's no way you need $5 million to retire. I thought it was a very privileged statement. And that was just for normal retirement. She said if you want to retire early or participate in the FIRE movement, you'll need $10 million or more. Which again, I completely disagree with, and I feel like those absurd numbers just discourages people from investing. I dove deeper on her insane projections, and I was actually surprised at what I found. So even though it seems like Suze is pulling these numbers out of thin air, I found out that Suze is an extremely conservative investor. I've always been a believer in a large emergency fund, but even I think 2 to 3 years is excessive. I started to learn that Suze Orman was always preparing for a worst case scenario. She's projecting that taxes will go up, Social Security and pensions are going down, and that the stock market may be flat for a decade. She's projecting all these doomsday scenarios that if they happen, yeah, 1 to 2 million probably wouldn't be enough for retirement. So I'm starting to better understand her thinking of it. Her approach is better safe than sorry. So the third person who should be following Suze's advice is if you like security and stability. If you're someone who likes to play it safe, which Suze is, it makes sense to have a 2 to 3 year emergency fund. And if you want to delay retirement, you'll have a lot more peace of mind with 5 million than 1 million. I also wanted to bring up a term from the Phi couple. What is your SWAN number? Your sleep well at night number. For me, I could sleep well at night in retirement with $2 million. But for someone else who's ultra conservative, you might need $5 or $10 million like Suze. Think about what number will help you sleep at night and what kind of lifestyle you want to live, because that will determine your retirement number. And if you like to play it safe like Suze, you should definitely follow her advice. Suze is truly one of the pioneers in personal finance, and even though I don't agree or resonate with everything she says, she's had an incredible impact on men and women trying to get their finances straight. No one's gonna have the right advice 100% of the time, even me. But I've learned by consuming hundreds of hours of content and taking the golden nuggets that apply to my life. So even if you're not a woman, even if you're not single, even if you're not play it safe type of person, you can still learn a ton from Suze Orman, and any other financial guru for that matter. I want my audience to know that nothing is ever black and white. There's always some gray area in every aspect of life. So take the pieces that apply to your goals, your lifestyle, your risk tolerance, and filter out everything else you don't need. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure you subscribe and check out my video here on Dave Ramsey. I'll see you guys in the next one.